Hey YNR fans! Waving hand, welcome to YNR Trends, your go-to spot for the juiciest Young and the Restless updates, shocking spoilers, and all the drama you can't stop talking about. From surprise returns to scandalous twists, we break it all down for you, every day. So grab your coffee, hit that subscribe button, and let's dive right into Genoa City's hottest gossip. 3 wedding gowns will be created, according to Thursday, August 14's Young and the Restless, YNR, recap, while Lily Winters, Crystal Khalil, exchanges twin assistants for Kane Ashby's, Billy Flynn, complete truth. Now that he is back in Genoa City, Kane will greet Lily on the train and hope that they can work things out. Lily will admit that Kane disregarded her advice not to go there and believe he enjoys causing trouble. Lily will insist that Kane is by himself when it comes to the twins and the explanation of all the Aristotle Dumas drama. Kane will acknowledge that he hoped they could inform Charlie Ashby, Noah Alexander Jerry, and Maddie Ashby, Lexi Stevenson, together, but Lily won't want them to believe she approves of anything he's done. Eventually, though, Lily would soften and conclude that if it meant that much to Kane, she might be willing to assist. Lily will ultimately make Kane an offer. If you can explain me what you're actually doing here, I'll agree to tell the kids alongside you. And this time, I want the complete truth, Lily would insist. When Danny Romolotti, Michael Damian, asks Daniel Romolotti Jr., Michael Graziadei, to play guitar at his wedding in October, Daniel will agree to be Danny's best man. Daniel will confess that he is beginning to have a genuine affection for Tessa Porter, Kate Fairbanks, as he begins to rave about her and how she has changed his perspective on the world. Even if he were to find love again, Daniel would not believe it could be with Tessa because she wants to make things work with Mariah Copeland, Cameron Grimes. He will feel that this is a betrayal to Heather Stevens, Vale Bloom. Daniel won't think it matters, even though Danny will point out that if that happened, Daniel's heart would be somewhat broken. Christine Blair, Laura Lee Bell, will discuss Chance Chancellor's, Connor Floyd, off-screen memorial ceremony with Lauren Fenmore Baldwin, Tracy E. Bregman, at Society. When Christine asks Lauren for assistance with a bridal gown and displays her engagement ring, the conversation will take a more positive turn. Lauren will receive information regarding the October wedding and will admit that given Christine's strong beliefs, this may prove difficult. Lauren, however, won't believe Christine is a bridezilla or anything, and she will have faith that they can collaborate to produce something amazing. In order to provide Christine options, Lauren will want to design 3 different bridal gowns. When Daniel and Danny get there, Daniel will wish Christine a happy birthday. Christine will implore Daniel to keep his mother as far away from the wedding as possible because she believes Phyllis Summers, Michelle Stafford, would attempt to spoil her special day. After nearly exchanging Chancellor for Nick Newman's, Joshua Morrow, Freedom and Niece, Victor Newman, Eric Braden, will confront Nikki Newman, Melody Thomas Scott, at the ranch. Although Nikki won't regret taking the necessary precautions to keep her child safe, she will be upset at Kane's ability to foresee the deal and have everything prepared. Victor, Nikki, and Joshua Morrow's character Nick Newman will reflect on how much Kane had planned for his celebration in Nice. There will also be discussion regarding Victor pressuring Lily to coerce Kane into providing him with information that will further his goals. Victor will encourage Nick to make friends with Kane and emphasize their desire to collaborate with him since Nick will be concerned about how they will deal with the threat at this point. Kane will initially be dubious about selling this kind deed because Nick has been disparaging him on multiple occasions recently. However, Nick will eventually imply that he can be affable and convince Kane that he supports this Newman partnership. Nikki will disagree because Victor wants to assist Kane take over Jabot and forget about Chancellor. Victor will immediately oppose to that. It's okay that you put Chancellor at risk to save one of our kids, but not to save Jack Abbott. Victor will warn on Thursday's edition of YNR that you and I will have a big one if that is going to be a problem. Nick will affirm that he's in and that he'll stop at nothing to keep this family safe, but Nikki will continue to have concerns about Victor's most recent scheme. According to spoilers for The Young and the Restless, there may be some alarming news coming because of all the dishonesty in GC, so keep an eye out. The sunlight streaming in from the penthouse window warmed the folds of ivory silk in Lily's hands as she stood in front of the large mirror, her breath halting in her throat. This initial dazzling creation had a weight to it that felt almost like a secret of its own, even if it wasn't the first dress she had tried that day and wouldn't be the last. She adjusted the bodice, avoiding her own reflection because it made the decision too immediate and real to see herself in it, but something else was nagging at her, something that had nothing to do with pearls and lace. Kane. His name alone caused her chest to constrict in a way that she simultaneously despised and longed for. For weeks, he had been avoiding questions and giving her evasive replies that only served to further confuse her. She had had enough of wondering where his true allegiances lay. At that moment, the thought came to her, faint at first but becoming more acute by the minute: she would have to force Kane to earn her loyalty if she wanted to save his twin, Caleb, from the mess he had fallen into. Every last bit of his truth, no matter how sinister or damning, would be exchanged for her help. She was aware that she would need to carefully choose her time because Kane had always been slick and could charm his way out of handcuffs with a half-smile and a moment's thought. After removing the first gown, she slipped into the second one, which Caleb had casually suggested earlier in the week when he had just happened to stop by and pretend to check on her. Her fingers worked the small pearl buttons with needless force. Caleb had a way of being in the heart of someone else's storm, smiling as if he had an umbrella while everyone else was getting soaked. This dress hugged her shape in a way that reminded her of unspoken vows and decisions she couldn't undo. It was sleeker, almost dangerously so. She looked at the line of her hips as she turned sideways, wondering what Kane would say if he saw her like this. She told herself she didn't care, but she did. She wanted his truth before she made any more decisions, about the wedding, about her future, about him, because she cared too much. She became aware that she was mentally practicing the precise words she would speak when the time arrived, in between putting the veil on and adjusting the train. Kane, stop playing games. No more secrets. I'll leave you and your brother if you don't tell me everything. When she stated that, she also refused to cry. Not now. Later in the afternoon, after taking a lengthy break and taking a stroll around the city to decompress, the third dress arrived. It was described as timeless by the shop owner, but Lily thought it was almost haunting, as if someone else's narrative was still woven into the fabric. It wasn't totally innocent, but it was lighter than the others, layers of airy tulle that floated when she moved. Beneath the tenderness, there was a sliver of edge that reflected her feelings about the whole thing. At last, she allowed herself to look into the mirror as she stood before it once more. The innocent Lily from years ago was not the woman staring back at her, rather, she was someone who had been burned and had discovered the price of trust the hard way. She remembered how Kane's jaw would tense as if he were holding back something that could destroy them both, and how his eyes would dart just a little to the left when he was lying. Perhaps unaware that she was holding that pledge captive, she thought about Caleb, who was desperate in his own way and clung to her commitment to aid him. The leverage was hefty yet tremendous, and she could almost feel it in her hands. The decision was made by the time she changed out of the dress and put on her own clothing again. Tonight, she was going to face Kane. No prepared statements, no allowing him to spin things around, she would keep pushing until the barriers fell. And it was okay if the truth ended up ruining their relationship. But she sensed the glimmer of uncertainty as the sun sank in streaked rose and gold over the sky. But what if the reality was worse than she thought? What if being aware of it prevented her from seeing him for who he truly was? The thought lingered to her like the ghost of that third wedding dress, even when she shook it off. She had to know, though. She was forced to. A complex interplay of themes, including sacrifice, deceit, familial ties, and the search for the truth, is presented in the story. 3 Wedding Dresses, Lily trades twin help for Kane's whole truth. The title alone alludes to a complex narrative that includes several bridal gowns, a heroine named Lily, and a crucial scene in which she exchanges her twin's help for an elusive truth that another character, Kane, holds. Deeper investigation into the reasons, relationships, and outcomes that propel the tale is encouraged by the title's numerical and symbolic aspects, which allude to a story that functions on both a literal and metaphorical level. The bridal gown, which is typically seen as a representation of innocence, dedication, and fresh starts, is one of the story's main themes. 3 wedding gowns, however, add an element of excess or repetition, implying that marriage as an institution and the relationships that surround it are complicated. The negative symbol that appears before the number, -3, also suggests a loss or reversal of significance, suggesting that these bridal gowns might stand for broken marriages, unmet expectations, or unfulfilled promises. Lily's engagement with these gowns presents her as a character torn between personal preferences and social conventions, maybe grappling with the conflict between tradition and free will. Lily's choice to exchange her twin's assistance for Cain's whole truth establishes a bartering and selfless relationship. In literature, twins are frequently used to represent duality, unity, or a broken identity. Lily's willingness to trade her twin's help points to either extreme desperation or a crucial decision. The twins' function in the narrative could be that of an alter ego, a support system, or even a rival, someone whose assistance is priceless but whose absence, or betrayal, could have serious repercussions. By exchanging this assistance for Cain's truth, Lily shows that she values information over friendship and that the truth she wants is more important to her than her relationship with her twin. This calls into question what the narrative's definition of truth is. Does it cost too much, or is it liberating? As the possessor of the whole truth, Cain plays a significant yet enigmatic role. The word Cain conjures up images of something both reprimanding, a rod for discipline, and encouraging, a walking staff, therefore the name itself may have symbolic significance. This dichotomy implies that his truth might be a weapon as well as a crutch. The term whole truth suggests that there have been partial truths or lies until this point, and Lily's intent on getting it suggests that she has been acting in the dark. This truth's disclosure could be the story's turning point, changing the characters' paths and rearranging relationships. The significance of the 3 wedding dresses, Lily's relationship with her twin, and her interactions with Cain are all interwoven into the narrative structure, which most likely shifts between the past and the present. An early, maybe romanticized picture of love that finally fails and leaves Lily disillusioned could be symbolized by the first wedding gown. The second could represent a forced union or compromise in which society and familial constraints take precedence over one's own happiness. The third outfit might then represent a last-ditch effort at fulfillment or a grudging acceptance, but the -3 implies that none of these endeavors have resulted in contentment. It seems as though Lily's path is one of slow unraveling, with each wedding gown signifying a new phase in her realization of self-worth, sacrifice, and love. A stabilizer, someone who has continuously supported Lily but whose absence, once traded away, makes her vulnerable, could be the twins' function in this journey. If the twin is a fundamental component of Lily's identity, then this deal might also represent a loss of identity, bringing her face to face with reality without the protective shield of family allegiance. When Cain's reality is made public, Lily's understanding of her previous decisions is probably disturbed. Lily's search for the truth turns into a drive for retribution or closure if it entails betrayal. Possibly Cain was complicit in the breakdown of her prior marriages. On the other hand, the story moves in the direction of self-realization if the truth is about her, for example, her own involvement in her misery. Lily may have to come to terms with the notion that she has been avoiding her own agency since the whole truth may not even be about Cain, but rather her own misconceptions. The conflict between what is achieved and what is sacrificed becomes the emotional center of the narrative. For a truth that has the power to either ruin or save her, Lily forgoes the assistance of her twin, a friendship that might have been her final link to security. This Faustian deal emphasizes the idea that knowledge frequently has a cost, and whether or not that cost is justified depends on how much one values truth over comfort. Although Lily might feel alone without the twin, she might also be able to break free from codependency and pursue her own goals. Rich, symbolic language may be used stylistically in the plot, with the bridal gowns serving as recurrent imagery whose significance changes with each appearance. In a twist that rewrites the story, the twin might possibly exist as a figment of Lily's imagination in addition to being a character and metaphor. The gowns, the twin, and the truth all come together in a crucial juncture where Kane's discoveries may be given, making Lily face the consequences of her decisions. To sum up, 3 wedding dresses, Lily exchanges twin assistants for Kane's whole truth is a metaphorically rich and emotionally nuanced story. The novel examines issues of identity, sacrifice, and the frequently difficult path towards self-awareness through the symbolic wedding gowns, the selfless exchange of the twins' assistants, and the elusive nature of Kane's truth. The novel offers a moving analysis of the price we pay for knowledge, regardless of whether Lily's search for the truth results in freedom or destruction.